Hello and welcome to your post-match Raw, podcasting to you from my field here in beautiful Sunday afternoon, rural Ireland. I'm Trev Downey, and joining me to give their immediate reactions to Liverpool 2, Wolves 1 in the Premier League from Anfield are Jim Boardman and Mo Chatra. Delighted to be joined by the two lads. And Jim, I'll go to you first in terms of an immediate reaction, because I think we can all safely say that that was a deeply uncomfortable watch second half. I'm not sure if we actually registered a shot in the entirety of that second half. I had crashing stream issues on a regular basis, so it's possible I may have missed a second or two where we may have registered a shot, but I didn't. I can't recall anything of note anyway. Certainly they were very much on the front foot for the majority of it. Felt, like I say, deeply uncomfortable to be in that situation where we're inviting them on. They seem to be able to get to a certain point in the pitch without any great barrier up against them. And then we were relying on quite a lot of last-ditch stuff. Not where you want to be, Jim, when you're supposed to be getting back into the groove of comfortable victories. And yet, you know where I'm going with this, the literal only thing of consequence is the result on the board at the end. And if we have to clench our arses another 10 times to get 10 more wins, I suppose we'll take it, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have strong muscles in that department by the end of the season, if that's anything to go by. I mean, the word I wrote down at the end was few, which was a similar sound to the word I was using throughout the match, the beginning of that word. It wasn't a bad first half. I mean, obviously not bad if you're winning 2-0, is it? And there were a couple of moments in the second half early on that maybe, we were okay, but it just felt like we weren't, I don't know, maybe we weren't on the same, Liverpool weren't on the same sort of book as I was on in terms of what happens next, what happens after going out with the FA Cup, fair enough, weaker team, what happens after losing at the derby 1-1, because we lost the derby, lost the derby 2-2, didn't we? What happens after those? Your confidence can be a bit down. So what you do is you get out and you get the crowd on your side. You just get out there and hammer this team fourth from bottom. Now, I know Wolves have something to say in that, and they don't look like a team that's fourth from bottom. And obviously, change of manager maybe suggest that they wouldn't be fourth from bottom if they'd had him from the start. But it still didn't strike me as there was any kind of performance from anyone. The crowd was a bit flat as well. I was a bit disappointed in. Sadly, wasn't there today, but if I'd been there, I feel like I'd have been making more noise. But I guess everyone that was there that was quiet sort of got to a point where they gave up, and it just felt like there wasn't any noise. But the players at the same time weren't really inspiring everyone to do anything. And that second half was just, I've seen Liverpool, we've seen it all season since Slot came in, that Liverpool do this thing where they will invite the other side to come at them. You're ahead in the game. You don't need to push things. You don't need to force things. So you invite them on. You'll win the ball back. You'll maybe get a great ball through a little gap, and off you go. You'll have a break and you'll probably score. Invite them on. The trouble with doing that is it only works if you can pass. And I just don't know what happened to Liverpool's passing in the second half. It just wasn't working. Whether Wolves were just on to us and understanding where to actually go and run to intercept the ball, or whether it was bad passing. I reckon it was just bad passing. We just weren't at the races. And I think it sums up a lot the sort of plays I'm looking back on at the end of the match that's standing out to me are the likes of Endo and Kwanzaa and Bradley, and none of the plays that started, if you like, because I don't know what was wrong with the rest of them. It was just flat. It was frustrating. But as you said, we are still now back to 7 points clear at the top. We didn't suffer from what happened today. There's loads to learn from, and you've just got to hope that when we're playing against a team that's not down the bottom, that there's something just clicks and that says to them to say, look, you need a performance today. Because why we can't do it against teams that are lower down, why we can't do it against so-called smaller clubs, I'm not sure. But it's kind of been how Liverpool have been at times for years now. But, when it's a bigger game, when it's a more meaningful game, then you've just got to get in there from the off and do something. And I just hope we do that, because this little run of games coming up now, even if Aston Villa are crying about wanting it to be postponed, it's still a tough run of games. And just need to get the confidence back and get us back to where we were just like not even that long ago. I mean, it's not that long since the game before the FA Cup game when we just looked unbeatable, and now it feels like we're a different team.
There's a little bit of the swagger missing, Mo, isn't there? I mean, that's kind of one of the things that you, like Jim's put his finger on there, just the kind of quiet confidence in this side. They pretty much drained most of it from me by the end of that second half. By a process, I think, of constantly coming up short with passes, of moves breaking down, final balls being appalling. Um, and yet, here's the thing I'm going to pitch at you. Second half, yeah, like I say, the narrative I'm throwing out there is that, it was very much about Wolves. And certainly at one point, I think around about 77, 78, they'd registered 10 shots since the 43rd minute and we'd registered zero. So there's no lie in that. And yet, in the middle of that period of time, we have the ball in the net on 51 minutes. We're most narrowly offside. And there is a penalty that's awarded and turned around because VAR reckon that Jota hung a leg. So on a different day, the game's absolutely dead and buried at 3-0. So maybe it's just that type of thing and we had to survive on our nerves. Is there an argument, Mo, that winning a game in this fashion could actually be good for us as opposed to what most people are leaning into and saying, well, they were two of the worst teams, Everton and Wolves, in this run, and look how hard it's been for us in both games?
I think that anyone that looks at the table and determines that these two games were going to be amongst our easier ones have not been paying enough attention. Both teams have actually been playing reasonably well over the last several weeks. I watched Wolves against Arsenal, and this was only, 3 weeks ago, I think, and Wolves could easily have got a result at home against Arsenal, bar for an absolute moment of madness by João Gomez, where he was sent off and Arsenal scored the only goal of the game to win a match that they otherwise looked destined to drop points in and looked set to lose, in fact. And they looked, up until that point, good in that match, good in several other matches as well. So, they are looking like a team transformed since the new manager came in. Everton as well, have been far better under Moyes than they were under Dicey Dice. So, these two matches were never going to be as easy as I think some perhaps had predicted. That said, there were plenty of aspects of today's performance that I think should cause concern. However, I also feel that if we were due a bad performance, I'd rather have it today against a team like this that maybe will struggle to punish you in the way that perhaps a City or even Aston Villa can in the upcoming days. And, even some of the most dominant teams who've gone on to win leagues have had, tricky games where things just haven't clicked and performances have been subpar, but they've managed to find a way to grind out a result. So I think that today's game should be a wake-up call. I think there was, Jim suggested, a bit of a kind of a hangover from midweek as well. But I'd like to think that, over the next 3 days, they use these last couple of games to really wake up, and especially in key areas. We are seeing our fullbacks really struggling. And, despite Robertson, laughably getting awarded the man of the match, I didn't think that he was by any stretch. I mean, fine going forward, lousy as hell defensively. Trent, his passing game was all at sea, and didn't make fans feel like this is a player that's we can't afford to lose in the way that most fans feel about Van Dijk and Mo. So these are issues because to an extent we are dependent on our fullbacks to provide that creativity, the chance creation, and both seem to be struggling, and that is cause for concern.
I think that's a really interesting place. You've driven the bus there right at the end, and I wouldn't mind just bouncing that right back to you, Jim, before we get into our usual run of events here, because I saw the Andy Robbo post-match interview there, and I think an awful lot of people would have been watching that one with some interest and maybe waiting for him to say something that would, have a ring of truth about it along the lines of what Mo's just pointed out, that, yeah, I struggle a bit there today as opposed to here's the man of the match award for you, lads. We're looking a little bit for that self-awareness thing. You don't expect players to turn around and say, I've had a mare. And similarly, I think people were looking around and expecting Andy Robbo to say things like, "Well, I think my legs have gone. I'm probably done here." Are missing point. He's a proud professional footballer who wants to play. But the 3/4 of the interview I saw before I felt I should bring my cup of tea up here and get this thing started gave no real sort of indicator of that level of awareness. It was all kind of, they came out and they had a go and we really dug in and so on and so forth. So it was kind of by the numbers stuff and certainly no indicator that, what a lot of people are thinking, he was going to do, come out and say, well, I've struggled. What did you think in terms of that? Because it felt to me like an awful lot of our leaders, Mo's put it well there, you'd said it yourself, haven't really sort of put their hands up today in the same way that, when the lads had a chance in the FA Cup game, the more peripheral lads to do it, they didn't really do it either. It just felt like nobody really grabbed that by the scruff of the neck, as the cliche goes. I mean, I thought most of the midfield struggled in terms of challenges against them. Lots of energy, lots of huff and puff, don't get me wrong, but we found ourselves second in an awful lot of challenges there. And Mo's highlighted the fact that the fullbacks were hardly our strong point. I think it was notable that Bradley was an upgrade when he came on in terms of what he offered the team. That's not great, is it? And up front, I don't know, like Mo mentioned, Robbo's distribution, was fine. And yet he was responsible for, frankly, the most awful pass of the match, where there was loads of lads inside him. He had plenty of room and he just hooks it over nowhere. We just didn't click in any area today, I think it's fair to say.
All right, the Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts and even Liverpool legends along the way, with the great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at AnfieldIndexPro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that, from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.